The first 6 months of 2026 have not gone well for Meghan Markle's very much besieged brand as ever, as she continues to flounder and fails trying to figure out what direction to take the company after Netflix completely and utterly dropped and abandoned it.
Hi, honey. I'm here. Let's talk. Hey, guys. So I've been hitting you right out of the gate with like a really polished professional presentation. Well, this one's not that. I just got home from the gym and I've seen that Meghan put out this ridiculous honey.
That this woman here is ripping people off. Like, this is the worst I have ever seen. And I'm being very serious now.
Honey. Not just any honey. Lavender honey. Now, that might be something, let's say, unique or interesting. Unless you've been to Aix-en-Provence. Like, I haven't got lavender honey from France.
But I just don't think this is going to help right the ship. And in fact, I think this latest offering proves how badly As Ever is performing, because Meghan Markle is not introducing a new line, really new anything this year. It's just a regurgitation, basically, of previous products. And it's spelling disaster, especially since in the first days of the new year, we got a very clear snapshot of what things actually look like for As Ever. And I don't think things are going to end well for Meghan Markle.
At the state of As Ever, Meghan Markle's very much her cash cow, or at least what she believed would be her cash cow. Because let's be honest about the state of As Ever, how it came into being and where it is now. Before we get into this latest meager offering, which is that As Ever was sort of the brainchild of Bella Bajaria at Netflix, she saw Meghan Markle apparently over her stove making jam.
And I think Bella's like, okay, we have nothing else for these two to do. We have to justify paying them $60 million and they're giving us nothing, Harry and Meghan. Harry's adult. Meghan Markle is a control freak who has no creative bone in her body, but jam, that's the ticket. And Meghan Markle, much to her discredit, went with this idea.
Because Meghan Markle clearly does not have a passion for As Ever, she doesn't know how to sell it. She doesn't know how to make her products look unique and interesting. Her constant pitch is, make a charcuterie board and put spread on croissants.
And so Netflix went with this brand. Of course, we got our initial offering of what became As Ever in 2024 with American Riviera Orchard, and that for a year until As Ever officially launched in 2025. Of course, again, with Netflix's backing. They were trying to figure out what to get her to do. They tied it to With Love Meghan a little bit, but not totally, because none of the branding actually showed up at all in With Love Meghan, because As Ever was a last minute switch. I mean, really, even they didn't use a lot of spreads. The only thing that we got from her show that she continued on into As Ever was flour sprinkles.
I don't think we need a company to tell us to put spread on croissants. And so the whole thing was kind of a mess from the beginning. Again, you had trademark hell over American Riviera Orchard. You had the much kind of bungled launch. She launched the website before it was ready. We've had numerous instances of stuff going live on the website before it's supposed to. And so everything about this brand has been basically chaotic from the beginning. It's been a chaotic mess. It's been very poorly managed, even on the side of Netflix.
And so when Meghan Markle launched the brand officially back there in March of 2025, she was so excited to tell the world she sold out of all her products. Now, having purchased that initial batch because I wanted to taste test, there's a lovely video of me taste testing, especially the peppermint tea. So if you haven't had a chance to watch that, you really should, because as a journalist, I can't really criticize something unless I've interacted with it personally. And I can tell you right now, I have interacted with As Ever personally, and it kind of sort of sucked. It was just kind of pedestrian. It was nothing super exciting. And in fact, they gave me the wrong tracking number. So her package actually sat out in the rain for a day or so because I was traveling in Europe. It also arrived, I think, 2 weeks after my initial order. I was wondering if I was ever going to get it. I mean, again, even just from a customer perspective, like, As Ever sucked.
It really did. So I finally got my products. I tasted them. I tell you how bad they are. But Meghan, of course, is doing victory laughs because, oh my gosh, we sold out, especially the first thing, the honey. They didn't have a lot of it. And so she did her victory laps. Then we had another launch. She did more victory laps. And then we went to wine. Sold out of that. More victory laps. We sold out of that. And so we had a lot of victory laps, you could say, but very little actual victories were had in this particular instance.
And so Meghan Markle just kind of got to the end of this and she's like, yes, everything's going great. And she did this interview with Bloomberg. Now, obviously, I'm kind of marching past quite quickly a lot of things, but she did this interview with Bloomberg talking about how, and we had to contemplate an order of 1 million jars. Can you believe it? Well, that turned out to be probably one of the biggest mistakes as ever made.
Because what we do know is that according to the estimates that we have, Meghan Markle is probably only down maybe. Maybe. And this includes some items that are sold in trios and in sets down to probably, I would guess, and argue about 750,000 jars left. So she barely got through a quarter. That's even a generous estimate of the inventory that she had for Christmas because she launched a Christmas collection, you can say a holiday collection. And it didn't sell out.
Despite promotion from Oprah's Favorite Things and Elle and Town and Country and whatever kind of dead magazine she could get to shill her stuff, she attempted to do that and very much an a la 2010, 2012 marketing strategy that didn't work. And so everything sort of flatlined. And then at the beginning of this year, so again, rushing through 2025, which ended with, in the fall, the second season of As Ever, which cratered, and the holiday special that did a smidge better, but still absolutely cratered. I think Meghan Markle didn't even break into the top 1,000 projects from Netflix. And we should get this month at some point the view of the first half of 2026 for Netflix, which should give us sort of a metric to gauge how well Meghan's brands did post the new year. Did With Love Meghan do well at all?
But we should know this month. But things that the new year kind of showed a different picture because the big question was because Meghan Markle had those big sellouts. And again, she took the victory laps. A couple products quietly were shelves. So the shortbread cookies and the crepe mix disappeared, never to be seen or talked of again. We don't know what happened to those, why they stopped producing them. And then at the beginning of the year, we got a website glitch revealed which showed how many of individual products existed.
And this is the crazy thing, is that Meghan's team basically acknowledged that this was a fact. So here, let me show you guys my Excel spreadsheet here. And so this was taken January 4th, January 5th, and January 5th again. So at 7 a.m., 7 p.m. And I saw the numbers and I calculated how much within about a 12-hour period, 24-hour period, Meghan sold. I guess it's technically 12 hours. And it wasn't particularly good compared to the number of inventory. Now, if you triple or double this and say 48 fruit spread trios sold within the span of 12 hours, I mean, that's great, but you have 44,000. So even if 48 were sold, that would mean that she only sold so far this year 8,784. And that's just calculating if everything sold in the correct time period. We barely have a difference with a full 24 because this was one of the only products I got a 24-hour gauge on. So she sold 8,000 of the fruit spread trios, but she has 44,000 in stock. So 44, that means she still has 36,000 fruit spread trios in stock. And that's not even counting the signature fruit spread trio, which has a box, which she still had at the beginning of the year, 137,000. And they sold about at the same rate. So guys, we're looking at, or maybe even less, we're looking at some really, really dismal numbers here. 8,000, maybe 10,000. She still has maybe 125,000 fruit spread gift boxes still available. And you look at this, 24,000 honey box duos. That may have been, she may still have 22,000 left. And then you have the sage honey with honeycomb that did a bit better. I mean, let's say 1 to 2,000 maybe have been sold so far this year in 183 days. So maybe she's down to 6,500, maybe. But obviously, you're still getting a linger on from Christmas time. So it's entirely possible that a lot of these have fallen flat. And there's some, like the spice mulling spice here, spice cider mulling spice, that couldn't even sell one in a 12-hour time period. And so why do we go over all of this and look at all of this again? You can get an idea of how well things were selling and how much she had in inventory. And if I was an investor, these numbers would be unbelievably concerning. This is not good. She way overinvested at the end of 2025. An absurd level. And unfortunately for Meghan Markle, her inventory will spoil. And to give you guys an understanding of how the business was set up by Netflix, Netflix most likely took a big chunk, I would argue, a third of Harry and Meghan's supposed paycheck was actually converted and used to help launch As Ever, buy the website, buy the inventory, test the inventory, create the inventory. $20 million of it, because we heard it was a $60 million deal. I would argue, guys, $20 million simply went into As Ever. And the only way for Meghan Markle to make a dime off of that money is to actually sell her products. The problem is she's having a really hard time doing so. And I give you all that background because this year we've had a very different look at As Ever.
So last year we got a batch reveal and then another batch with mostly the same products. They added something. And then we would get, let's say, an apricot spread here. We'd get the fruits trios. We'd get the strawberries. So we got a couple of products released. But this year I felt like has been quite different because last year it felt very much like seasonal launches. This year feels like, oh, we're just throwing something out there and seeing what sticks. So far this year, Meghan Markle, first new product of the year, was technically a bookmark she used in an advertising strategy for Godmother's bookstore. So if you bought the Honey Duo at Godmother's, you got this free bookmark. So that was her first product. And that was followed up by a chocolate bar launch in January. So we'll just pull up here.
As Ever Instagram, because honestly, some of this is hard to track because it all kind of blends together because there hasn't been, again, a good strategy. So she did, again, another collaboration with this Compartes company. And so we have 4 chocolate bars instead of the 3 she launched with in December. So this is a regurgitation of a campaign she already ran. So this came out January 31st in time for Valentine's Day. But it just felt like, okay, so it was technically something that you gave away for free at a particular retail location. The second product is something that you already did
in December. We're doing it again, but this time we're adding one more flavor. And so it just felt like, so what are we doing? This feels very stale and stagnant.
And then we started doing the excessive bundling. So she decided to do a complete As Ever pantry. So what you need is 3 jars of honey, just one singular jar of flower sprinkles, her 2 original candles, the fruit spread trio, the hot toddy and spice cider that she originally launched for the holiday season, and then the 3 teas.
And then she has other bundles as well. And then she had another bookmark.
Hold that thought. So went from fell asleep here to hold that thought. Then we have still a absolute conundrum of a picture because, guys, there are only 3 spreads she's selling right now, and somehow we have 5 spoons. Does somebody on the team not understand math? I don't understand. I just still don't get it. Then we have an obviously AI image here. So we're starting to do a bit of AI and using the kids more to sell things. So we had a flower box that went out, which I don't think probably did particularly well. So you could get these gardenias in time for Easter. Little odd. Reusing an image that was taken in 2024.
And Meghan Markle's sole idea for how to use spread, which is a croissant. Because this chocolate bar set is still in stock. That was supposed to be a Mother's Day launch. I don't know if you're aware, but we're completely through May, now June. It's now officially July. We're officially halfway through the year. It's been about 2 months when that initially launched. Let's take it over here. April 24th. It was 2 months plus ago and it's still available.